Chris, the Treasurer today, in an interview with the Nine Papers, says he's been vindicated, the government's been vindicated with its spending, and that we would be in recession without it. What's your assessment of where we are as we head into the new calendar year?
I don't think that's right. Australia's economy is in a spot that it hasn't been for a long time. An inflation economy is a trade-off economy. And it's basically too much money chasing too little stuff. And if governments were doing less, if governments were giving us less money, then the Reserve Bank could give us back more money. Or in other words, had governments spent less, then interest rates would already be lower. To be fair, it's just a trade-off. Taxpayers are better off, electricity users are better off, borrowers are worse off. I don't think it has been a recession or not. It's a trade-off.
And does it open up less expenditure out of the public sector, more space for the private sector? Is that how it works?
That is exactly right. And again, it has been so long since Australia's been in this sort of situation that people aren't really thinking about it that way. It certainly sounds intuitive. Nobody's spending much, so if governments weren't spending either, then we'd be in real trouble. We're not spending much because of the pressures, yes, but the pressures are still leading to too much inflation, too much money chasing too little stuff. That's our fundamental problem.
Is there a defence in this approach? And the Treasurer makes this argument that he hasn't taken the advice to have austerity or slash and burn. They've had to maintain spending to help boost and sustain a healthy, very strong jobs market.
And again, I don't think the alternative is a lot of extra government spending versus slash and burn government spending. You could have had a modest increase in government spending that allowed a lot of care to be taken around cost of living. Governments absolutely can and should do stuff around that. They just need to make room elsewhere in the budget. They need to cut other spending or raise taxes to take some other money out of the economy. Things, for example, like slowing down big government construction projects. More of that should have happened. That's been part of our inflation story. So I don't think those were the alternatives. Spend a lot more versus slash and burn. Something in the middle was always the sensible.
And that would have helped sustain the labour market?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Again, it's not the strength of the economy that would have changed. It's the patterns of the economy. Our current set of circumstances are, it's good for taxpayers, as I say, it's good for electricity users, and it's bad for borrowers. It is fair to say, though, that a chunk of the extra government spending has gone directly to jobs. And so whereas the overall economy wouldn't be that different in terms of recession, no recession, you may have had more of a difference in jobs. The pickup in, call it government jobs or government-funded jobs in Australia has been pretty remarkable.
There will be some more cost of living relief in the lead up to the election. We can bet on that. And of course, as we're just a few months out, that's going to be part of it. What needs to frame any further cost of living relief so that doesn't fuel the inflation, which is gradually being tamed right now?
And it is being tamed. That war is being won, and more or less regardless of what the government does from here, there's a chance we get a rate cut in February. I would say whether we do or don't get a rate cut in February will tell us whether we do or don't get one ahead of the election. And either way, off the back of that Reserve Bank decision, the government will announce things like keeping the electricity subsidies going, its new childcare subsidy, and the like. As an economist, I'd love to see them pair that with some other savings or raising some taxes, again, to take, as they put more money back into an economy that still has an inflation problem, I'd love to see them take some out. But to be fair, a lot of that opportunity has already been lost.
And finally, Chris, something I've been wondering lately, and I've asked a couple of experts on it. I want to get your thoughts. Do you think we will ever pay back that looming $1 trillion in debt?
No, but that's not the right test. Governments essentially never pay back all their debt, and that's fine. I'm very glad that Australia has a whole lot less debt than most other rich nations. But that wasn't because we had good politicians making good decisions. It happened because of budgetary luck. Migration, lots of migrants meant more people to tax. Inflation took money from families, gave it to governments. War, sadly, boosted the price of stuff that Australia sells to the world, and we got extra tax off the back of that. The lucky country's budget got lucky. That has left our debt, even at $1 trillion in gross terms, much lower than you see in most other nations.
Chris Richardson, great to get your thoughts today and right throughout the year. All the best for the festive season. Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Kieran.